Starting it right now.
There was a time of the preacher in the year of '01, when you think it's all over, it's only begun.
Howdy, pilgrims, and thanks for tuning in to Preacher versus Preacher. It's a comparison companion where each week we get together and we recap AMC's new series and season of Preacher, and we directly compare it to the books of the 90s it's based on by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. I'm Bill Sweeney. I got my buddy Dom here.
What's going on, guys?
I got my brother Bob.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And we just lost Sarah.
Oh, of course we did.
She
Perfect
literally
timing.
just dropped out. Sarah Netzley is with us, and she'll be right back, folks.
Yeah, gotta love Skype, right?
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
You think that they'd have technology to prevent this?
Yeah, I guess.
Of course, this happened.
This will be the thing now where
Here she
we
goes.
hopefully see that's the one thing that just worked out right there. I was like, now I'm gonna call her, she's gonna call me.
Right.
It's not gonna link up, but it did. It did. So Sarah Netzley, who just decided to leave, is now back.
Just me out.
Hello?
Say it. Go for Sarah.
I'm gonna blame Skype. Let's just blame Skype. Damn
Alright,
you, Skype.
Always blame Skype.
Sounds good to me.
They have a small
Always
parent
blame
company
Skype.
called Microsoft. You know?
Right. So, Sarah Netzley, freelance
Hi.
writer for Entertainment Weekly online, entertainmentew.com. She's joined us before, and she's back. We convinced her. We convinced her to come back. So, with that, all we can say is thank you.
Well, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. Looking forward to talking about all the amenities of hell with everyone.
Oh, the joys of hell. Who knew it would be so much fun? So here we are. Let's do some official business real quick. Sarah Netzley. You can follow her on Twitter at Sarah Netzley, SARANETZLEY. Did I get that right?
You did. Perfect.
All right, thank God. And woo! Well, I have it written down, so it's like, you better get it right. And you can follow us on, if you don't really know who the three of us are, we're usually on the Wicked Theory podcast. You can go check that out anytime you feel fresh and funky. We're over there getting geeky, pop culture-y, cultural-ish.
Yeah,
How about that? We'll go with that.
We like those kind of things.
And we like Preach too.
We do.
We like emails. You can always email this show at pvp@wickedtheory.com. Sign in with your Twitter handle. We'll shout you out like that if that's what you want, if that's what you like. You can follow us on Twitter at PreachVSPreach. We're on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play Music. Subscribe, rate, and review because that shit's cool. And then I think to get right all up in it, one of the things we break down is the spoiler that we don't do spoilers anymore. The only thing we could ruin for you is the books, and we hope that you've read them already. And since the show is kind of doing its own thing most of the time anyway, you're probably still safe up to like the third volume, at the very least in general.
Right.
I mean, we do bounce around and kind of comment ahead, but,
Yeah, no, but the thing for us is that we love the book very, very much so, and we want you guys to go out and read it, not for the sake of watching the show and reading the book, but just because it's a great piece of literature.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I know it's a comic book, but I consider it literature.
Absolutely.
And
graphic literature is what some people would say.
I guess
In this
so.
case, very graphic.
But no, it's a great book, so I hope you've all read it.
Sarah, is this
Dom, can
book
I
in your-
digress for a second and say I put together an anthology introducing college freshmen to mass communication as a field. We include journalism, we include radio, we include TV, and I fought to include a chapter on comic books because that is a form of mass communication, and we included a couple of readings on comic books. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's literature. Heck yeah, it's bona fide.
Do you remember any of the stuff that you had on the reading list from that, or was there such a
It was-
requirement list or anything like that?
it was less about read these great works and more about here are a couple of articles talking about the golden age of comics, talking about the comics code, talking about things like that, so students would kind of learn the history of comics and why they matter, as opposed to you need to read Watchmen, you need to read the Dark Knight Returns. So
Gotcha.
more about comics as the industry and as the medium. But I could see extra credit. Extra credit. Read some Frank Miller.
So you weren't going to make it a free and easy class, right?
Right.
Oh no, of course not. You got to work.
Some students just look at it in paper as they're picking out their classes and going, "Oh, dude, that's going to be so easy. I read comic books all the time."
Right.
No. Oh, because I'm also a college professor. I should say that would make more sense.
Yeah. Well, the way.
So there you have it. That's proof that from a college professor that comics are literature.
Oh yeah. Lest anybody be fooled.
Just verifying that
otherwise.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's many professors out there that wouldn't agree with you, but
I'm sure not as many as there used to be.
I will fight them. I will fight them in the street.
That's what I was gonna. I was just gonna say they can go fuck themselves.
Just send Sarah after them, and we're all good.
Yeah, I think most of those professors, by the way, are the ones that are still wearing their little tweed coats with the elbow patches.
Oh, elbow patches. I want those on my sweatshirts, like my champion.
They do offer them on sweaters.
That's true. They are available on other shirts. So back to the business at hand. Sarah's a nerd. If you didn't figure that out,
just a little.
She's part of the team.
Thanks.
She's like, I don't know about nerd. All right, she gave me a look. All right, she's a geek. I'll give her that. How about that? I've seen your library, so don't deny that there's some nerdy stuff in there, Miss.
Well, I think she mentioned she's gone LARPing.
Yes. Okay. Some things I will stand for, but no. Huge library, huge comic library, no LARPing.
No LARPing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and if that's what you do, great. God bless.
Yeah. But who's got time? So with that, let's get it down dirty. We got a recap to do and some comparisons to make. If you haven't been listening to us this season, we've included the bell. Bob will demonstrate one ring. Thank you, Bob. There will be one ring only.
That's that psychic family connection.
Let's just get this out of the way. There was a lot of extra ringing lately of not necessary ringing of the bell.
Well,
I threatened you last week that I would take it away.
But there was a lot of the show had a lot of the book in it.
Sure, it did. I think the
I've actually realized that we've been missing opportunities, very specific opportunities, in every episode to actually be ringing the bell. Those times are when Cassidy.
Like, well, every time we mention a name, is that what it's going to be?
But wait, should we do Tulip?
Wow, that's always your issue. You got to find a way to do like a half ring. There you go. Just a thud. Just a thud. All right. So with that, this is episode 8, Holes, which there are a few in this episode.
In the series?
in the series, maybe in some of the plots. No.
We're just joking.
So me and Sarah are going to kind of throw it back and forth a little bit. She's got some notes. I got some notes. So
lots of notes going around this week.
Lots of notes going around, and none of them like the cool ones you used to get as a kid in school. I almost digressed. Like I was going to start talking about that. Okay, so this one opens up. I did forget to do one thing, but shit, it's too late now. I'll play it later when we come to it. I was supposed to play an audio clip when we started. I'll just do it later.
Hey, they didn't know that.
That's true. All right, so we get back. We're in hell.
Uh-oh.
That's where the episode starts, and Eugene's doing pull-ups.
Yeah, okay, you're burying the lead. The episode opens with them arms.
With just the arms, right? Just those big arms. He's had a lot of time. You know what's funny is like they've been downplaying how big that kid is underneath his shirt this whole time. Like since season 1, he's obviously a kid who keeps in shape, and now it's finally like, oh wait, you're in prison. You have time to kill. You're getting jacked. Finally, we have a reason to let you like not look, try to hide you underneath a collared golf shirt. You know what I mean? But he's looking good. He's in good shape. He's sweating, and he's got a giant Tracy back tattoo. So, which is funny, but it raises a question: before or after he went to hell? It's the first time we ever saw his skin.
I did wonder that.
It is a thing they leave open, but I'm gonna say like he got that in hell. Like I don't think he was that crazy obsessed.
I want to believe that he actually got it like a week before the shotgun incident.
Like he would like
it's still kind of healing. And she like blows him away with that whole "you're just a friend" kind of thing.
Like his plan was to take off the shirt.
Yeah,
like if he had gone, how he really wanted that whole day to go.
I've been working out.
I've been loving you forever, baby. Look at my tat.
Take it off. Look how buff I am. Look at my tat of you.
Yeah.
Some guys get you tattoo
I
on
feel
your
like
arm.
that font is not pre-Hell Eugene font.
Right.
That is straight up Hell prison font.
That is gangsta. That is gangsta arse face. Arse face.
Well, yeah, I think we're getting ass face, not arse face.
Yeah, that's true. We are getting ass face.
No, I think the same guy that sold him his steroids in hell is the guy that did his tattoo.
Right, the same guy.
Seriously, they have creatine by the truckloads there, apparently, because he's jacked.
I've been trying for a while, and it didn't take me 3 episodes
You know
to
what I
get
mean?
to where I'm at.
You don't get the right. You're not getting the right protein bars out of your hell
guess
vending
not.
machine. That's what it is. Because that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's all protein coming out of that vending machine.
You got to do P90X.
Is that what he's doing down there,
I think
P90X?
So. I think he's doing P90X.
Bro, he's old school. It's prison.
I
It's
feel like
push-ups.
my
It's sit-ups.
personal-
It's free weight. Go ahead.
My personal hell would be P90X. Just P90X on a big old loop. That would probably be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or is it Zumba?
And whoever's it's like you just gotta get to 100, and then like you keep losing count, and that's just that's the loop. That's the loop.
Right.
All right, so
89.
I'm up to like 20, and I lose it. All right, so I'm getting a cough here.
So,
All right, so
while we're in hell, I'm going to take over while you're choked to death.
Sure.
So,
Thanks.
while we're in hell, we see some of these delicious little details about what life is like in the big common area. So there's a vending machine seems to be their only source of food, and it only has Zagnut bars, which... do you guys know what Zagnut bars are made of?
I remember seeing that in Half Baked, I think. No. Beetlejuice. I don't think I ever had one, really, but...
I don't think I've ever seen one.
I had to Google it because that's not a candy bar anybody knows. It's peanut butter and coconut. Ugh.
Oh, I think I did have one once, like as a kid, like Halloween or something like that.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, that's definitely like
Yeah.
one of those candy bars that you only see in certain pockets of the country, like a certain kind of like a culture almost.
The worst pockets. So, let's see. Their only entertainment is a TV burning log picture.
Yeah, right.
The toilet paper in hell, of course, is duct tape. I mean,
Right.
it's just these. I love the thought of the writers sitting around in a room and saying, "How can we make hell just extra terrible?" And they nailed it. Those are good
It's
details.
all the little things. It's all the little things. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, the beds have nails and you have to sleep on those. It's just, you have to wipe your ass with duct tape.
Hey, no dingleberries.
As we see a little bit later, the basketballs are all flat.
That would actually be a benefit.
Just
I think.
perfect.
No dingleberries. I like it. All right. Yeah. So it's he's so now when he the first thing we get really is that
you
he's
got a little arse
like
face
we
there.
see R's face a little premature too on that one. We see R's face kind of like doing stuff where it's like he's a badass now. Like he walks around that room differently than the last time we saw him. Like he immediately takes the guy who's using the vending machine. He takes the candy bar from him.
He's Vin Diesel in Triple X at this
Basically, you know what I mean? He's like walking around there like he's king of the castle, like or something. Like maybe we missed a little like
I'm a badass.
yeah. I'm just a big like Mike Tyson. It's like I'm a big teddy bear, you know. So, but one of the things that like kind of happens, I think, a couple times here is that like he does kind of do nice things. And everybody gets in trouble for that stuff. But a couple of things he gets away with, and one of them is like he offers that candy bar to Douche Boy who's taking a shit and wiping his ass with the toilet paper, duct tape rather. But it's like a real quick thing. And he's like, "Oh, I'll keep it for later."
But it's funny though. Some of the other little discreet things that he does.
Yeah.
Every single time he does one of them, Hitler catches it. Like you see the camera
Right.
pan to him every time. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's he's just sitting back, and something's going to happen with him.
He's
eventually.
a good observer, that Hitler.
He's
he's
up
right
to
now.
something.
Yeah, right now he's manipulating Eugene. As we get more into the minutes, we'll get onto that.
He's compiling. He's working on his plan at this page. So, so basically, real quick, the boss lady comes in. She's already writing out this sign, this out of order sign. She drops a pen cap. That samurai-looking dude, they actually call him Samurai Guy in the credits, Mr. Man Bun. He picks up the cap, but that's a little too nice. So for that, he gets dragged out and put in the hole. She slaps up the out of order sign, douche magoosh. He tapes the guy to the TV that's only playing a fire.
The caveman.
Yeah, caveman guy. And
I love the nice touch that they added in where, like, to make his experience worse, the caveman with the fire, they just louder the volume. Just make it a little bit louder. I mean, I know it's just a video of fire, but just make it a little bit louder. just make it a little bit louder, and
it's
he'll
like
make
18. They raised it up to like 18. Yeah. And when like his head is like turned too, so I think it's the ear is like right on the speaker too. Like,
right. Well, there's no sound. That's the best. That's why I thought it was the best. Like,
no, there was noise coming out.
There?
Of it. Yeah, there's definitely noise.
Okay.
It's like, but it's crackling fire.
Crackling.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's Yule log on Christmas.
Right.
Like, watching that. Which is pretty torturous when you think about it, having to stare at that. So, and then, so only Hitler sees that R's face actually lowers that volume for the guy, brings it back down to 10. And then, Hitler's like, oh, Eugene, what was that? And he's like, what are you looking at? You know what I mean? And he was like, oh, no, don't push me. And he pushes him right onto the floor. And it's like last little act of being tough guy in there. Like, because you can't, this is like the worst prison. Like, you have to be, like, fucking with each other all the time. And that brings us to the opening credits. And then that brings us into 1946.
1946 flashback.
And it's Cassidy. He's visiting little baby Dennis at the infant ward, and he's singing Charlotte the Harlot. And he says to her, that it says to his son that I'm going to be the best dad you ever seen. Would you like to hear some of Charlotte the Harlot?
And he calls.
Go ahead.
100%. I want to hear Charlotte the Harlot.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, then let's. I stopped her in her track. She was like, "Oh, wait a minute, you're gonna play that shit?"
Oh, Charlotte, the harlot, the girl we adore, the pride of the prairie, the buck in her whore. Oh, Charlotte, the harlot, the girl I adore, our pop-fucking, cock-sucking Mexican whore.
Yeah, they changed a little bit of the dialogue from this.
Down in Kent Valley where the rhythm do blow, the cocksuckers will work for $1 a blow. There lived pretty Charlotte, the girl I adore, my free-fucking, cock-sucking Mexican whore.
It's a lot of that.
Oh, Charlotte, the harlot, the girl I adore.
So what you're saying here, Bill, is it's a lullaby.
It's a lullaby. It's a lullaby. It's a lullaby. But
Perfect thing for singing to your child on the day he's born.
so there's a few different versions out there, but they're all basically this. Many variations of this classic gem that Charlotte the Harlot. Not to be confused, Bob.
With the Iron Man song I thought you were going to play?
That's correct. I had a question. It was which one do I play? And it was like, well, this one's the funnier one. So I challenge anybody. I'll put a link somewhere or whatever. I'll post it up on the Twitters tomorrow or later or something like that. But the full lyrics are available on the YouTube clip this comes from. So
I get the feeling there's more than 140 characters in that. So
yeah, I didn't
posting that on Twitter.
I didn't want to post it all. But so he's singing this to his little baby boy Dennis, which explains why maybe Dennis has had such a hard time in life.
Yeah, he's going to be such a good guy.
Although I will say his delivery, he sang it very tenderly. I mean, he seemed genuine when he said, "I'm going to be a great dad." Of course, he's pulling from his flask at the time, which, but he calls Dennis, forgive my translation, Amach, which is son in Irish. I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly, but I mean, he really does seem like all in on the dad thing. He's got the jaunty little cap on, he's got the dad hat, and then we cut to Dennis not looking so good.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
kind of deathbed like.
He is falling apart fast. That's the other thing too. Maybe he's allergic to Cassidy or something, because when he opened the door the first time, he didn't seem like he was like, that bad off. But then slowly but surely, it's like, oh, this guy's got a cold. Oh, no, he's got an oxygen tank. Oh, he's just got pieces of lung coming up, basically. Sorry, keep going.
So yeah, in the present, we see Cass actually taking care of Dennis, and for the first time since Dennis entered the scene, they're trying to some kind of like a translator app where he can say it in English and it'll spit it back out in French, so they can sort of talk to each other. So that's the very least that he could do, I would think, as a caretaker to his terminally ill elderly son. So he's caring for Dennis, and then he. Yeah, it has the ads on it, so every so often you get interrupted by like Blue Apron.
We've got a bit of a delay.
So then he moves into the kitchen where he has a conversation with Tulip, and I thought this scene was interesting because he says to her, "Hey, are you doing okay? I know you're not sleeping. Do you need any help? What's going on?" And it's just kind of interesting to see Cass as caretaker for everybody. He's worried about Dennis. He's worried about Tulip. He notices these things. It's so far removed from the comic Cass, but it's interesting to see how that changes the dynamics between the core group.
Yeah, he offers her a Celtic Sandman, which is a dram of whiskey, a dram of honey, a couple pellets of rat poison, and then you sleep so hard you won't even drink. She's restless. She wants to go out.
Yeah. Now I just want to talk about that for a moment. Cassidy's character in this show compared to the comic. I feel like the extra steps that he makes in the show to help people and to prove that he's kind of a good guy is what he's missing in the comic that make him...
Yeah.
That's the one piece of the puzzle that he's missing in the comic that makes him shitty, because he's got such good intentions always,
Right.
He's so pure-hearted, but he always just ends up leaving everybody.
They don't
in a
give you
tornado.
actually. It is a missed opportunity. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was basically thinking more or less the same thing. That it's really this is an aspect of that character type that we didn't get in Cassidy in the comic.
Right.
But we're getting that here because we have time to see it. Because this is the side that keeps him in people's lives for a while.
Yeah.
After the shit hits the fan first time.
Right.
And then the second time, and maybe a third, and you know what I mean? It's that kind of quality. So he's a defense mechanism. He wants to keep these people around.
Yeah, I mean, he's got friends now, so it's like even if they're
for a little while,
right? That's the thing he also has in the back of his head too, because it doesn't take him long before he starts getting into this whole. Because what he's doing in this scene is starts talking to Tulip about not telling her that he wants me to bite him, but starts kind of feeling it out, and that's the conversation that they have is about Dennis. She's restless, she wants to go up, but oh no, I'm sorry, that comes later. But because I was looking over my notes because I had that in here, but
it's the same location, and it kind of is a continuation of what they were talking about before. So
right.
I feel you there, but in this scene, Dennis calls him back and has used the translator to say over and over, "Bite me," which I love because it works on multiple levels, guys.
Right.
Multiple levels.
No, I got it. Because the very first time I was like, oh wait, okay, I see what you did there. You can just play with that forever. But the fact that it's going, bite me, bite me, bite me, bite me, bite me, bite me. Yeah. And I love that the app just was jammed up, like a real app, won't do what you want it to do until you stop trying, and then it all goes through and it won't fucking stop and shut off.
It's one giant long thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they saying your mic is a little low. You're on
I was having a hard time hearing myself. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
So it might have been the wire.
Cool. So with that, Tulip goes out, and then Cassidy goes over that. Yeah, right. They wake him up. He goes, jump to a bit later when Cassie's asleep. Dennis is doing the whole thing with the Bite Me phone. I was stalling. I couldn't get my thing to scroll down. All right. Then it's the next morning. And Jesse's like kind of like barely awake. He's in the corner. As soon as he gets up, we realize he's secretly being watched by Hoover and Featherstone, who are over in apartment 19, recently vacated and just down the hall. They've got photos on their desk, and actually one of them on the rewatch, I noticed it was from the shootout in the first episode that came back this season. Just, you know, it's not from the book, but the shootout was kind of from the book, so we'll take it.
That's what I mean.
We'll take
it.
It took us a long time to get to a bell.
That's no Featherstone. He said Hoover and Featherstone. There you go. You got two.
All right. Coming over here, a little closer to me and Dom. And we'll see how that goes.
Dude,
all right.
You can't do that. That's the only musical instrument I have for this show.
All right, fair enough. We'll get you a triangle soon. So
I love that Hoover has come back to the apartment with a box of blueberry. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was suggestive sell because he saw Tulip eating it a couple episodes ago, or if, you know, everybody just loves blueberry. But Featherstone says to him, "Those are why you look like that." And I thought, that's so deliciously cruel when you think about what happens to him in the
later
comics.
Which was in my notes too. It's
later
like
on,
a
like
little bit of a seed for that, because we're pointing out that he's a little paunchy, which to me looked a little bit like not a fat suit per se, but just like it might have been a little kind of stuffed shirt kind of a thing, so that later on when like they want him to be looking a little slimmer,
right,
it'll be a little easier.
For whatever reason.
Right, for whatever reason that may be. I mean, you know, not to give things away.
Could be.
Hey, but, we said it in the front.
Yeah.
We give up spoilers 100%. So
100%.
I'm just going to say.
Oh my God, you're going to spell it out? Spell it out.
He has to count like
SAND.
It's like 10
trillion grains of sand.
Yeah, it's like 10 million, I think was the number, right?
I just hope that's
for my money. That's the meanest. That's the meanest Genesis thing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Like when he lashes out.
It was a mind blower when you read it in the comic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it is one of those things where, like, you know, like there's only like a handful of like real key like moments in this whole story that are like, don't change that thing. Like, you know, try and keep that in, even if it's like a brief scene or whatever. It's like that's a key thing. That's a thing like goes like when you talk about the series, it goes through your head, and you want to like spoil for people to convince them to read the book,
right? But
you don't dare because it's like it's so much fun to kind of stumble upon it. Some of these things. By the way, this segment is sponsored by Blueberries.
Someone's come for a nutritious breakfast.
What? Hello, my name is Boo. Let me finish. Booberry. My ghostly good blueberry-flavored cereal, Booberry, is part of this complete breakfast.
Boo to you, Blueberry. Frankenberry's got strawberry-flavored marshmallows.
Count Chocula's got chocolate marshmallows.
But I've got blueberry-flavored marshmallows.
Frankenberry. Count Chocula.
And Booberry.
Thank God. I thought it was longer than that. All right. We're back.
And we shouldn't be.
I didn't really need that cup of coffee. The mug's fine, and most of the coffee's in my shoe. So with that, I'll just say, hey, Tom, you want to grab me that roll of paper towels over there? We are live, folks. This is a live broadcast.
No pressure.
This never happened to Dick Clark. I'll tell you that right now.
Thankfully, we got the beastly roll of paper towels.
We did. We did just purchase more paper towels. This episode, sponsored by Bounty. Bobby goes, cool. Why would? Do you know how this?
Just taking it off.
Oh, it's too taut. It's too tight.
It's a high tech roll. You got to pull it off of, you know.
Right. Here we go, folks. Live show.
Yep. 21st century technology, right there.
Sarah's never coming back. She's like, these guys are fucking amateurs. What the hell did I stumble into?
Are you guys under attack? What is happening?
Just to sum it up for everybody, because I know you can't see, obviously, Bill just was excited about the show, so he swatted his whole cup of coffee, and it splattered all over the floor, and there's a decent amount of it all over him, so he's kind of having a panic attack.
Just so I didn't have all the sloshy, squeaky sneaker sounds.
That you're making right now?
Yeah. Professional broadcasters, ladies and gentlemen. Way with the future. All right.
All
Is this on? No. Okay. Anyway, I think we were doing a podcast.
I think so.
Okay. So, pretend none of that ever happened, including the Blueberry commercial. Okay.
Just so you know, really think that if you had
professionals... What are you eating?
Cookies.
Just to remind everybody, professionalism at best.
Even professionals would be doing a show like this if they had $62 a month to do it.
Thanks for digging the show, Bob. All right, so with that, we are back in business. Featherstone and the Blueberries and just down the hall. I've lost my place. They got the photos on the desk.
Cass Jesse time.
Say again, Sarah?
Cass and Jesse time. This is Jesse's back in the house, kind of on a getting ready to head out to keep looking for God. And Jesse says, "You doing okay, Cass?" Cass says, "Yeah, I'm fine." Then he says, Actually, you have this power. I have my dying elderly son. Can you use Genesis to help?" And Jesse says,
No, because I can only use it for the stuff I want to use it for.
Right.
Which is like kind of like a typical person thing. I found it very typical, kind of like that's the thing people do sometimes. Like, oh, I'm willing to break the rules at my job whenever I need stuff, but when you need something,
Well, we only know that Jesse can tell people to do things.
Well, the bigger question is like, what would he have done? I guess, and what could he actually do? He even says, I'm not sure if Genesis could help, which is a fair point.
Right. I mean, he tried to heal Tracy. He told her heal.
Right. Yeah.
You live, whatever, and she couldn't do nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I think the show kind of painted itself in a corner with the word, like, to what extent it can go to, because when we first find out about it in season 1, you'll recall that they do that whole scene with Cassidy and Jesse where Jesse's using the word on him
to make him, very literal,
try to make him fly, and Cassidy can't fly, but then a few episodes later he can make someone go to hell with the same word. So, I don't buy it, but at the very least what he could have done for our friend Dennis was send him to heaven.
Right.
If he couldn't heal him, he could have just said, "Go to heaven." And
could have done something like that, Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think the thing is that like all of the outcomes of it none of them would probably have been very good. But it is a thing where it's like, just story wise, it's like, well, wouldn't you, if you were Cassidy, have that in your head, like, well, maybe Jesse could do something, and it's like, so like from a writing standpoint, it's like, well, let's just have him address it, and then Jesse shoot it down with some kind of selfish angle, because that's what we're playing with lately anyway, and we'll just kind of glaze along.
But haven't we already seen that giving somebody about 15% of your soul will heal them?
1%.
1%.
Yeah.
No, we saw the old lady.
Oh, that's interesting.
15.
Right?
Yeah. Didn't think about that. Good call. That might come into play.
Why not just do that? Could Cassidy do it?
Oh, could Cassidy give some of his?
He's his father. It couldn't be. He would be the most
likely match.
Yeah, but could he do it? He's a vampire.
Right. Ooh, that was an interesting thing too.
That would be cool, but I don't know.
I
if
should
we're
be
gonna
writing
see
for the
again.
show. Thank you.
What were you gonna say, Sarah?
I did like when Jesse said, "Oh, do you want me to pray for him?" Cass immediately says, "No, Christ, no."
No, none of that, Padre. None of that. Shoots that right down, like almost laughs at him, like, "Oh, God's not in heaven. What's that gonna do?" So moving along a little bit. Let's see. Jesse says no, that wouldn't be right. Then he leaves. Tulip is coming as Jesse is going at that staircase that the show seems to love so much. She was at the Hurt Locker again, getting hurt because that's her thing now.
This Tulip, man. This fucking Tulip.
This gal. It's just, it's like this. It's I get it because like the character's on a down streak right now, but she literally did like suck the life out of every scene she was in. I know that's like what she's probably supposed to do because she's like just downer and not focused and like other place in her headspace.
She's walking up those stairs in that scene going, he's like, "Hey, where were you?" "Oh, Hurt Locker."
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
no big deal.
It's like talking to Eeyore.
I went up all night just getting my chest blown away.
Yeah.
Wouldn't your sternum be a little sore from that after like,
I don't know, taking off her shirt and she's got just a giant black and blue that goes across her chest.
That's attractive.
Now this brings up an interesting question that I brought up off mic before the show started, and I think we should touch on it a little bit.
Okay. Hit it.
Why are you talking about the show when there's no mics on? No, kidding.
I like to. I like to talk about stuff when there's no mics on.
You do, actually.
He likes to talk.
No, but basically, you know, my point in that
Mm-hmm.
is that the two of them, Jesse and Tulip, just consistently throughout the season so far, with the exclusion of the Mumbai Sky Tower scene,
right?
They're like such passive aggressive assholes to each other. You know what I mean? Like there's no real connection there whatsoever.
There's no spark.
And the only spark that I see
Mm-hmm.
is between her and Cassidy. So
right.
I'm thinking maybe the show is trying to confuse viewers to think that they're the ones that are going to end up getting shipped, if anyone does.
I think that's a side. I think that's a side benefit they're aware of. That like, well, if Cassidy and Tulip are friendly and just happen to be getting along a little better than her and Jesse, then like that'll just kind of feed that little fire they want to kind of keep alive in people's minds.
Actually, now that we're starting to talk about it, I'm thinking it's actually for a whole nother reason. Because they're trying to set us and Jesse up for the ultimate heartbreak.
Oh yeah, well that's true too.
Oh,
A
okay.
little later on.
Oh, do I have sad music?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure I do.
she's naturally got to. If she's not interacting with
Right.
Jesse, she's got to be interacting with somebody else. She can't interact with Dennis.
Right.
So.
Well,
right.
Dom, I totally agree with you. When they pass each other on the stairs, Jesse says, "Hey, are you okay?" And Tulip says, "Yeah." And Jesse knows she's not, but he doesn't push it, where you have Cass saying, "You're not sleeping. Are you okay? What can I do?" There's just really marked differences between the man she's in love with and the man she's not. And boy, right now, if you're not a comic reader, it looks like she's with the wrong dude.
Right, and that's the thing. Like you just said, the man that she's in love with and the man that she's not. And if I'm a regular viewer of the show and I haven't read the comic book, I'm probably not thinking that she's in love with Jesse at all. Like I think she might. My headspace probably would be that she is more attracted to Cassidy at this point.
Or that it's like.
I might actually be yelling at the screen, "Why are you still with him?" Yeah.
Exactly.
Or at the very least, it just seems like this door that's kind of open on some level. Like it doesn't feel like it's a whole. Like even though she's like been like, "Yo, just back off on that shit," like not that long ago, it still feels like this thing that like. I don't know, you're kind of nutty. I feel like with the right amount of tequila shots, you know what I mean? This whole thing can get out of control again.
Oh, her and Cass.
Yeah, as far as them two like somehow hooking up again.
Yeah, there's just too many intimate moments shared between the two of them this early on for me.
Right,
Kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
No, I don't blame you. Like it is a thing where it's like it is a hard read sometimes, and I think they do want it to be constantly murky a little bit. They don't mind if you're going to have that kind of blurriness going on. But Jesse, he's going to Dork Docs.
Yes.
The Dork Doctors. Because he's obsessed with Cassidy's idea of getting the serial numbers off of this video.
Right.
Of a gun.
Right.
And
of the same video that we with the actor.
Right. The God tryout film.
Right. That, by the way,
Tulip tags along to take this walk. Go ahead.
But by the way, I don't know if anyone noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong on this, but if I remember correctly, when we first see them get the video of the actor playing God, it's a cassette tape.
Yeah,
it's not a fucking DVD.
That's right. Right? Wasn't that on a VCR?
Yeah,
like
it's a VC. It's definitely a tape.
He handed them some kind of case.
It's definitely a tape. It's not a fucking DVD.
Yeah,
100%.
I feel like I remember like that. I think I can.
Well, if they did that, then they're doing something something that the viewer misses.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like, at the very least, like, I don't know if we saw them put the tape in, but I know the TV had like a built-in VCR, or there was a VCR on top of it or something.
Nothing in Dennis's apartment has been updated since 1987,
sure.
So
Well,
obviously he doesn't have a DVD machine.
Fair enough. Maybe we missed a scene where they had to get it transferred just so they could watch it at Dennis's house. No, we need you to put a CD stuff onto a VHS. And the guy's like, what?
But the CD is important. The DVD is important later, right? When at the very end when they shred it. So that actually is kind of a big deal if that's a continuity error. So.
Yeah.
Now, didn't it? I mean, we might have.
Damn it, show.
Well, it said property of something.
Yeah, it said Grail Industries on it.
Right.
But we'll get back to that because I got an issue with all of that.
Yeah, well, that could go one of two ways. It could either be that, they were the ones that did that video, which is likely.
Right. Or they just make blank CDs.
Or they make the blank CDs. Exactly.
Okay. I didn't even think of that just now, but that's great.
Right.
Because they are like this all-encompassing kind of multi-company. Like,
right.
Maybe they just make blank CDs. That would be so great. But
did Grail ever say that they know God's not there?
Oh, you know what? That might be the workaround. Because my issue is that, you're telling me this. So this gets to really that's funny. That's kind of like they're out for my issue. Because my issue was, so you've had this disc the whole time and you've been staring at it, looking it over. Yeah. You don't notice on the other side that it says Grail Industries in the data side where like nothing usually ever is on a CD.
Issue. Yes.
Yeah. Because my thinking was that
because Jesse is not awesome, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, but they play. That's the thing with this is like one of those shows where they play kind of like he just conveniently didn't think of that. I guess he's not stupid. It's like, well, I know this character's smart, but then conveniently things don't happen. Like a smart person would have figured out. Yeah. I mean, people at home are figuring it out. Right. All right, so let's move on. So anyway, he goes to the Dork Docks to try and get the things off this gun. These guys, like, they're laughing at him, like, kind of a little bit, like, you know what I mean? But I thought at first it was going to be like, they were going to be like, dude, that doesn't, you can't do that, really. Like, that's a thing that's only on TV.
Right, that's what I was waiting for.
And I really thought, like, this was going to be the show that was going to call out every other fucking show. And because I kept on thinking that's what was going to happen, and to jam them up, that, like, Cassidy or Tulip was going to be like, that's not real. Like, you can't, like, when they were talking about it at the house, like, that was going to kill that path of figuring it out sooner anyway, because somebody was going to be like, well, that's just
TV.
You guys never seen that YouTube video called Enhance where it shows like every single show doing that, and then we probably should cut to a guy who's like used Adobe Photoshop and like, that doesn't you can't do that.
I think this scene hit a little too close to home for Goldberg and Rogan. Like, I think they were those two kids, like they were those two stoners in the 90s that worked at the fucking video store at the counter that like would have just let anybody bring in whatever videos they wanted,
Oh, you got some crazy thing, old lady, that's gonna keep me busy for 3 hours?
Yeah, man. All
right, we'll do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Exactly.
So Tulip goes and buys a fridge. Because she's got money somehow?
Well, she keeps getting fucking shot in the chest making money. So.
Well, that's true. You're right. She does have money to burn. I keep forgetting. You're right. Mm-hmm. Conveniently, she's got money to burn. You're right.
Yeah, but why the hell does she want to buy Dennis a friggin' refrigerator for?
It is a weird thing. Like, it's like I kind of get that you're obsessed with the hole and stuff.
And why are they still at Dennis's house? This is like whole season. They're still at the guy's house.
Well, he's dying, so it's as soon as he's gone, it's theirs. That bitch is theirs.
Well, it's not like Cassie's going to inherit it.
We'll have one main location next season too. You watch. Like, it's like,
well, yeah,
we have to build a set.
Yeah, but that's going to be swamps. So
it might be cooler. It might be cooler.
No, it's going to be all grass anyway, so it's not going to matter.
I will say in Tulip's defense, she did say our fridge isn't working, and it does have a huge bullet hole in it. So
I guess it's a little
think
leaky.
That's why she's, But she gets a very nice fridge, I thought. Really top of the line. Top of the line.
I was wondering if it was going to work with the systems in that old frickin' house.
Well, and there's always that it's going to still be brand new when Dennis dies. She could just take it right back out.
It would be great if all of a sudden when Dennis dies at like the end of the season, whatever it is, and like they're going to leave, like, okay, on to the next place to go on a big adventure, and she's like trying to wheel out the fridge. No, we got to like... I'm taking it with us.
Yeah, we got to bring this back.
We got to bring my cooler.
Yeah, or bring it back to the store at the very least. I need my money back on this thing.
Tulip's like the person that gets asked out on a date.
Yeah.
And goes out to Macy's, buys a $300 dress for that date, and then brings it back 2 days later.
Of course.
With blood stains on it. She's just like, you got to take this back.
Bullet holes.
Yeah. Numerous stains on it that
we
won't know.
Yeah, she buys the fridge and she bails. She forgets why Jesse's there. She kind of forgets Jesse's there, I think, and she's just like, "Well, got my fridge. See ya." So
see, here's the thing.
Poor Jessie.
So she's
all alone.
On the rewatch, she's all sleep deprived. She's been up all night. She's trying not to go to sleep. I think that was the thing. Yeah. Like she was trying not to go to bed. That's why she was like, "Can I go with you?" Like to take the walk, kind of thing. I'm thinking she didn't want to go to sleep because of the nightmares. But now she's at the point where it's like, okay, it's like halfway through the next day. I'm getting a little funky. I think I'm going to go home and take a nap probably. I'm guessing that's what that was. She was just like, yeah, I kind of keep forgetting where I am, so I should probably sleep a little bit.
Yeah. We go back to hell.
We do go back to hell right then and there. Samurai guy.
Back to hell.
Back to hell. It's one of my favorite places.
OMG.
Samurai gets tossed back in with the group. The boss lady tells everybody that the helideck, the technology there is wonky, and that's because one of them isn't supposed to be there. And it comes down to, like, who is it? Which one of you? And then Hitler sees, oh boy, ass-face. He's like, his hand in his pocket. Yeah, right.
One person of the whole group that doesn't raise his hand.
Right, this goes back to what you were saying earlier.
And I'd love to be at Rikers when, like, they just come in and they're like, sorting it out, like, who's not supposed to be here, guys? Come on, be honest.
The hands would have went up so much faster, like in a
People
real
would be
prison.
fucking killing each other, dude.
They'd be killing each other to get out of there. You kidding me? That's funny. They'd be going to prison to try and get out of prison. All right, so so Hitler sees ass faces, like, you know, kind of taking his hand in and out of his pocket, and then he doesn't raise it at all. But everybody else instantly, ooh, me, like a bunch of school kids, acts like, who wants candy, basically.
And what's his name was like, oh, it's got to be me. I didn't kill anybody.
Right, when we come back from commercial, they're all going over who it must be. And not you, 50s hair, you burned all your kids, and not you, Tyler McDouche, because you raped 4 women, and then...
Hey, but it was consensual because he took them out on dates that they consented to.
They consented to the date.
Right.
And because his dad's a lawyer, you hear him say, like, real...
I need you guys to know that...
Yeah. Disclaimer?
That was Bro Cephas's crime was the least surprising part of that episode. It's like, yes, of course you're a date rapist. Yes, that is 100%. On track.
I kind of feel like there's just so much more than that. Like, you know, that's like what he's fessed up to them that they know of, which is probably true for all of them.
I kind of want a buddy cop spin-off with, like, him and Eugene, like, just the adventures of them getting out of hell somehow.
Him,
like,
McDouche? Tyler McDouche?
Yeah, like, he's great to me. I love that kid.
He's in, where did he come from?
I never
13 Reasons Why, I think.
Oh, okay.
But he's a classic douche in that too. Like, he's just one of those guys who, like, if he's not careful, this is all you're ever gonna be. You'll make a career out of it, kid. But this is all. Everyone's gonna be like, seeing you, like, hey, what's up? I hate you, bro. Like, that's like, you know.
Yeah.
That's all.
He's got to end up in the second season of Stranger Things as, like, that '80s frat boy villain, right? Like, he belongs on Stranger Things. Yeah.
He's got.
He should be that kid that plays, like, the douchey love interest for Will's sister.
Right. Who kind of makes a turn, and
he
you
should be like his older brother.
Right, his cousin from out of town.
Yeah,
it's my cousin Cliff, because, you know, Cliff was a popular name.
Cliff, of course, his name will be Cliff.
It's Cliff or Todd.
And then my favorite thing is the third. My favorite thing is, as Eugene and Hitler have what I think is legitimately heartbreaking conversation, but you can hear in the background one of the other inmates explaining his crime, and he says, I did it for the public good. I washed them in their own louse-infested blood. And I don't know who it was, and I don't know what that scenario is, but it's just going on in the background while Eugene and Hitler are just gabbing away, and it's incredible.
That's great, because I didn't even catch that at all. That's funny.
It's beautiful.
So
let's talk about the Eugene-Hitler conversation.
Well, they're playing. Well, Eugene's trying to have a game of basketball, but the ball's deflated, which I thought was pretty torturous. Which is pretty mean. But so Hitler knows it's him, and he's like, you know, nah, I'm the evilest person in here. Which, thank God for the translations on the screen.
He says.
Right, other than you. But Hitler doesn't buy it. He's like, you defiled her? Did you maim her? And then he says something else, a third option, but I really couldn't make it out. It was maybe just too German. But he's like, no, I kissed her. And he's like, you don't belong here, Eugene. You're too fragile. I was going to go on. All right. He's like, I don't deserve to get out. But Hitler knows that he'll never get out, and that they'll just put Eugene, in a worse place.
Right.
And he's like, well, and if I deserve that, then I deserve that. Right. Like, it's like this kind of attitude. He's leading into this whole I'm supposed to be here and I'm cool with it thing.
And I love, we learn a couple things about Hitler too. Eugene's totally open to this. Oh, like, hell has more to offer? Okay, let's see what they got. But Hitler says, when I got here, they had really high hopes for me. So they gave me the run of the place. So I've seen things. And I love, can you picture Hitler arrives in hell and everybody's like, Dolphy, you're here. Have a seat. We have jobs for you. And then he's just this meek little guy.
He's definitely getting that skip the line card they give out at Disneyland.
Yeah, he jumped right to paid intern right away.
Yeah, exactly. Right to paid intern.
But
no, but that would be hell for Hitler because this is the one place he thinks he's going to succeed, right? Yeah. But you don't let him succeed because it's got to be hell. Right. You can't get what you want here, you know?
Yeah, and I think this whole thing with Eugene just goes to show his actual, his character. Like, he's just a kid that really wants to fit in wherever he is, you know what I mean? Even if it's fucking hell.
Right.
He just wants to fit in.
He can't help but be friendly. He can't help but be the nice guy he really is. And Hitler knows it. Hitler sees right through it. And then in that next beat, Hitler trips. There's a nun. I guess I didn't realize that there was a lady in a habit in that place. But he trips her. And then instantly, Eugene goes to help her. And he was like, oh, that was nice of you. And then that's all it took. Sound the alarm. In comes that giant moose-looking guy. The Wall. I don't know. What do you want to call him? We need a nickname for him. But
Moose is good.
Moose is good. He's like a real wrestler of some kind. Probably. At some point.
I like how the the warden boss lady, whatever you want to call her in hell. Yeah. She'll say every time she speaks, she'll say 2 words in her sentence in normal voice, and then the rest of the sentence goes to demon voice.
Then it pitches back up. Right. And I don't think they did it the very first time we see her, because the second time we saw her, I was like, yo, what is up with that? Yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay, they're doing a thing. And I was like, I don't know if they did that the first time. I think it might have been a late idea. They're just like, screw it, do it. Fuck continuity, just do it. Right. Or maybe it's another one of these things where it's it's supposed to be symbolic maybe of the place breaking down. In a way, maybe it's another kind of aspect of it.
That could very well just be the reason that it's being explained away now.
Fair enough, right? It's increasingly getting worse. Maybe. There you go. If that's a thing, I hope it's a thing because we thought of it.
Hey, what if?
Yeah, talk, speak.
What if the person that's not supposed to be there? This might be a reach. Isn't necessarily Eugene,
right?
But it's the saint also. Maybe he's there somehow. Just not with Eugene. He's in hell, not really supposed to be there.
No, I kind of feel like Eugene is there in a way where it's because he got out, but it's still making the system all wonky. Right. It's almost it's probably going wonky because he left. Then when Eugene came in, it got maybe a little better, but it's still shitty because he's not supposed to be there. We're not over one number. Right. We got the right number of heads. But just one of you ain't supposed to be here. You would think that technology would be a little bit better. You would think she would kind of remember the kid with the asshole for a mouth, too. Not for nothing.
You'd think so.
Right? That seems to make him a little recognizable.
Are there no
got the mustache.
Files? Hell should have files.
You would think it'd be
Hell should have just rows and rows of filing cabinets.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
That are not alphabetized.
Yeah. And that would be the warden's hell.
Exactly.
Right.
Can't you see I'm up to my ass in paperwork here? It's all out of that shtick.
Was that a Stan Lee cameo? What was it?
Yeah. He's working on characters. That's my Stan Lee.
Write for the show.
He should.
We.
Oh, we? Oh, yeah. Well, that's...
We established that.
I'm including you guys.
Well, we've been saying that since episode 1 of this show.
I said that when I read issue 1.
I said it when I was back in 1994 when I was reading it.
I said it when I was whispering in Garth Ennis's ear.
Nice. Straight from Ireland. So Hitler sets him up for the fall, and they take that kid away. And then we're back to New Orleans, and Tulip is we're at the house, and Tulip has got this guy taking away the old fridge. We go over to the other room. Dennis is coughing up some blood, which is cool, I guess.
It's definitely bloody.
Yeah, definitely bloody. Cassidy takes the sheets into the kitchen, which starts a conversation with Tulip that we kind of mentioned before, which is about her thoughts. He's asking her, about the, not dying / living forever kind of thing. And it sounds kind of not bad to her. And he's like, well, yeah, sure, but you can't go to the beach. And then there's the boredom. And then you've heard every joke. Drugs barely work. Everyone dies except you. And then Tulip's like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it does sound pretty shitty. Like, she barely registers.
I kind of got a sense from this that he's just testing the waters to see what he should do, I think, with Dennis, because I think he's kind of hasn't 100% ruled out biting Dennis, and I think
he's starting to
I think he's got like a fantasy in his head that that might not even come to the surface on the show of biting Tulip too eventually.
Well, maybe. So it might be like
internally,
a little dual usage, kind of feeling her out as it's like, well, if Sheila were to like dig deeper, like, why are you asking me that? Like, he could just play it off as Dennis, but maybe it's a convenient two-sided kind of questioning. All right, it's a good point. It's a good point.
I could totally see this.
I understand.
Being like, make me a fucking vampire.
I understand that Tulip is supposed to be PTSD, struggling with the post-Saint attempted murder, but she is such an asshole here. Cass is clearly, she says, oh, you don't hurt, and Cass is just like, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? Everything hurts, and she's not listening. She doesn't care. It's so hard to watch her be so awful. And she does at some point stop and kind of acknowledge, oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. But still, you grew your fingers back, right? Am I right? High five. And she's just, I should care more about Tulip struggling with this, but I don't. She sucks so much.
She just gets worse every episode for me, and I think I'm hoping that if they do the twist that they do with her in the comic at some point this season, when she comes back from that,
she leaves.
She'll
be the Tulip we
like
want?
Reborn Tulip from the comic.
Rising from the ashes.
That would be nice.
That would
Phoenix Tulip. She's Dark Phoenix.
Which would make more sense. All right.
And I've defended Tulip. I've defended TV Tulip. I her. If she would give me any excuse to root for her, I would. I want to like you, Tulip, but dang, this episode was rough.
I think the problem.
But hey, at least she's handy. She has household skills, which
she does. She makes great M&Ms with candy.
Yeah, I think the problem with this Tulip is since it's not the Tulip from the book, they have to write for her and keep her around.
Yeah,
and it's kind of hard. Because they're doing it for Cassidy as well, and they're creating for Jesse as well instead of coming from the book. So I think
she's the one they've most overhauled. So it's like a thing where it's like
they've really got to rewrite her entirely.
They don't have as much. They didn't keep at least not here anyway. They haven't kept as much of the foundation that they've kept for the other two. Right. Well, that's what I mean. Like the other two have a certain amount of framework already that they can kind of play around within, that they don't push too far away from. With her, it's just they're making it whole cloth. So her as a character on a whole nother show, I don't know if she'd work over there. Like, it's really not about trying to say, hey, I'm so stuck on the book version that I don't like your show version. What I'm trying to say is, like, this character, I don't know if she works on another show as a likable character.
No, I couldn't see myself liking her.
You know what I mean?
But that just goes, hand in hand with my theory that maybe the writers kind of noticed the mistake they made with her. They realized that they kind of wrote themselves into a hole with her. Yeah. So them doing that twist with her by the end of this season kind of gives them leeway to bring her back in a new and improved, lighthearted Tulip that we know from the book.
If anything's going to tone her down in a way, it'll be that.
Yeah, this is
dying and coming back. Oh, spoiler.
Yeah, this is. I definitely feel at this point that's the direction they're going.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep feeling like she's gonna. What we're seeing is to set us up for that.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
Because. We've also seen
that interpretation is the only thing that makes this tolerable, I think.
Yeah. Well, it also goes to earlier in the week. There was stuff on Twitter about from Dominic Cooper mentioning an event.
So shocking that it will totally flip the script on the show in a way. I can't remember the exact quote, but it sounds like he's hinting that it's probably going to be what happens in the book to Tulip.
Right.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I know how I feel about this, but I particularly don't like this Tulip on the show.
Right.
And I feel that it's probably because I've read the comic and I know how different the character is, So, like, to me, there's really no it's not as meaningful if they kill her, if like she dies in the show as it did in the book, because I was more attached to the character that was in the book. So I wonder if people that haven't read the comic are as attached to the show version as I was with the book version. So I wonder if it'll have the same effect on them. Well, that's what it did on me.
They're hoping.
Because this is going to have no effect on me if it happens in the show. I see it. My point of view is like, just keep it that way. Like, just fucking do away with her at this point.
I've seen that we're not alone in this general opinion, but I don't know that we are the vast majority of opinion havers, because people who haven't read the book, a lot of them seem to kind of like the cast whole cloth. I have seen where it seems to be some people who haven't read the books who don't like Tulip, but I think they're like in a lower end minority as far as that goes. But that said, I feel like that, it is a thing where they're definitely building towards it. I think, to what Bob is saying, goes to something I've said in the past, which kind of held a little bit of fruit once in a while, that it seems like they're kind of building towards some things sometimes that come from the book instead of handing them to us up front, like easy. Like, what if they want Tulip to show growth with Tulip in a way, is have her be this wild child for a long time. This rambunctious wild child.
She's such a dick, though, that when she dies, it'll mean nothing.
On paper, the original plan is to do X, Y, Z, but in the execution of it, you end up building a character like that because of the choices, like the series of choices that you end up coming up with later to make that a thing. So, but the plan is maybe to do a reset on her a little bit where, she gets killed and comes back, and she's a little, maybe, level-headed or something to that degree, or it's a bit of a character change, because you don't come back from that, especially not on this show, and probably not have damage for a while.
I think the one thing that would change this character, right, is that event happens, and it's the fact that she loves Jesse when she comes back.
Right.
You know what I mean? She's gone, and her spirit, she's still in heaven or hell or wherever she is. Yeah,
she has a confrontation.
But she loves Jesse.
Yeah.
She knows that she's not with him, and she's never going to be.
Right.
And then when she gets the chance to come back, this is we get a lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
That's
more complacent girlfriend. But not entirely, not with this tool.
No,
but we'll get a more focused character.
If we got something dialed back, it would be the best of both worlds. Because it's like, on paper, I didn't mind them saying, we want to give Tulip a little bit more substance and make her a little bit more, driven kind of character than she's in the book. I was like, okay, but
that's great, but you don't make her a mobster badass who can kick every other mobster's ass.
Every team needs a Snake Eyes, man.
Sarah, what were you gonna say?
Sarah.
So this is where I get a little hesitant to criticize her too much, because bad female characters on TV are so loathed. It's the Skylar White syndrome, right? Everybody hates her, and she can't do anything right. Everybody yearns for her death, whatever. Well, she's a flawed, unlikable character, and female characters get piled on, I think, a lot more than male characters, who are allowed to have a little bit more irredeemability about them. And so that's why I always hesitate to get frustrated with Tulip, but I am still frustrated with Tulip. So I wish that they were a little more thoughtful about giving us just a couple more beats of whether it's vulnerability or warmth or giving a shit about Jesse and Cass or something. There has to be some way, but please know I don't take this lightly when I criticize Tulip. I'm doing it knowing about the weight of unlikable women who've been shit on by television audiences for years, and I think kind of an unfair way. In this case, I don't think it's unfair. This Tulip is difficult, but I will say her going to heaven and coming back loving Jesse doesn't love her the way he should either, if we're going by the comic book. So it's Tulip, but it's also Jesse who's just like, oh, she's going through something, fuck her, I have stuff going on myself. That is hard for me to watch too. So
I think that's part of this.
I don't like Jesse's character in that regard as well. They just really screwed up this whole storyline, and I don't know how they fix that. And if it takes a grandma bullet to do it at the end of the season, and then it's like we talked about on Twitter, I think all of us were in on this Twitter conversation, if they do kill her at the end of the season, then do we have to do that song and dance about, oh, is she off the show? Oh yeah, she's dead, tee-hee. And then we have all this lying to the media, and oh, Jon Snow is dead, so I'm not looking forward to that, if that's the route.
I don't think you can play it that coy, because it's in the books.
No, and especially after another show on AMC, Better Call Saul, just did the same thing with a character. They killed him off at the end of the season.
Right.
And then they came out afterwards and said, as of this moment, Chuck is dead.
Right.
Whether or not
spoilers for some other show.
Whether
the
or
AMC
not
show you're going with for this is Better Call Saul and not
It's the one he watches
Dead,
of the two you were thinking
with
about.
lying about his dead.
He knows
Okay,
about the Walking
continue.
Dead thing, but since he doesn't watch, it wasn't at his forefront. As soon as he started that sentence, I was like, oh, he's definitely going to become a Walking Dead, because Walking Dead. I was like, oh, yeah, right, Better Call Saul did that. Right. So AMC's just got an issue with characters dying.
No. That's why.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to get this from.
Yeah, I think they kind of got to be upfront with it too, because it's in the books and it's so known by the main fan base and half the viewers of this at a certain point, because it's not doing awesome in the ratings, but half the viewers at this point have to be just book fans and they know the shit.
Yeah, they'll just probably tell them read the book.
Read the book during the break.
Yeah,
which would be great.
At this point, they'll say, "Listen, you really want to know what's going to happen with Tulip in the show?
Read the book.
Read the book.
Read the book,
because that much is going to happen."
I think that, and obviously they should just play coy with it, like just wait till the season comes up. We're not done with me yet. You know what I mean? It's a crazy show, right? Oh, anything can happen on this show.
She could come back in flashbacks, all that, yada 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 yada.
Play it loose, but to do the whole thing, like, oh, like is she off the show? Is she not on the show? I think we're past the age of trying to pull that off. You know what I mean? Like you said, Game of Thrones, even Better Call Saul, Walking Dead. Like, it's a tough game to play.
Yeah. Just at least anyone who knows any better at this point than what Seth Rogen is capable of is going to not believe a word he says. Okay.
There's more to this than meets the eye.
So I don't think
fair enough.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to this time.
So get yourself a refresh on your beverage, Bob. I'm going to jump back into the dock here. All right. So where are we now? So it's
Dork Docks.
The Dork Docks. Well, the very last thing with Tulip is that she pulls the fridge out from the wall. She peeps through the hole, and the camera takes us all the way straight through to the room where apartment 19, where's Heather Stone and Hoover face. I don't know. Just felt like going left. All right. So at Dork Docks, Jesse is waiting, and he's totally oblivious that behind him there's a Grail commercial playing. And it's one of the things I pulled out of that is we're behind you, which was kind of ironic because it was behind him. We're behind you, making today great for you and tomorrow great for us. And then like a nuke goes off. So as far as ad campaigns go, that's pretty ballsy.
In the middle of that, there's like a quick
hot dog eating contest.
Yeah, and there's a real fat guy eating shoving hot dogs in his mouth.
Yeah.
And for a brief second, I thought that was like a nod to All Father Darnique, maybe.
Well, it could be.
But I
mean,
just,
yeah, sure, why not, right?
He wasn't as big as
no,
that
but it's like
is, but,
here's a glutton. Maybe,
I think that deserves a bell. Bob, bell.
No,
Bob's not at the table right
Bob's
now.
not at the table.
He's not doing it.
I'm gonna give it a gentle.
There you go.
Where is he?
He ran off. We kicked him out. Sorry. Thousands of people are happy. All right.
Yeah, but the nuke went off then at the end, and hey, I mean, just might as well just tell everybody.
Yeah.
Your plan, right? I mean,
you know what I mean? Just lay it out there. No one will believe you. It's that whole thing, right? The bigger the lie. Right. All right. So Jesse gets the summons. He goes up to the counter. They're so proud of themselves, these Dork Docs. They're like, hey, man, we got it. We figured it out. And they're like, look. And it's like, well, you can't see nothing. And he's like, well, what you can see is that the numbers are scratched off. So you're in the clear, dude. And they're like, oh. He's like, no. I need the numbers. And they're like, well, we thought you just wanted to make sure that the numbers were, like, hidden because, you're involved in this. And he's like, no, motherfucker, I'm trying to find somebody. I need the numbers. And they're like, oh, okay. So they kind of try to figure out what else they can do. And they see the production slate, which is that big clapper that they use in movies, if you're not familiar. And they're like, oh, there's a reflection on there, and we'll try that. So go sit back down. We'll come back to you.
I thought this was going to pay off, and it didn't. And it was just like...
Yeah. If it's going to have a payoff, it's going to be like, ultimately, the sad thing is that the only thing that comes out of this is that the audience knows that the Grail was involved in that. So it turns into a bit of a runaround story. It's a goose chase kind of storyline for Jesse to keep him over here. It's a bit of a pad. Not a lot of traction happens with him. Not a lot of traction happens with her. Not a lot of traction.
Not a lot of traction happens with Cassidy either.
The most is just that he gets to the point at the end of the episode where it seems like he's going to do it.
But going back to the actual video itself,
sure,
it really keeps coming up more than I thought it would when we originally, saw it, and Cassidy and Jesse got the tape. So that kind of makes me think that whoever's on the other end of that gun,
right,
might be a little bit more important than we originally expected. Maybe it was actually Featherstone or Hoover, or maybe even Herstar himself. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So,
fair enough.
It seems like Herstar does his own thing.
Yeah, I can see it being a thing. Like if Chair starts because he came to the thing late, and he's like, "Are we done with this yet?" And he just shoots the guy.
Yeah, like we just keep seeing it over and over again. So I feel like it would be fan service for them to actually bring us back, maybe like in a flashback.
Right, we get to see that
actual scene.
And it's Hoover or
it's the three of them sitting there, and fucking Herstar just pulls the trigger and kills the guy.
Or at least someone's running that particular operation or something.
Because we know from the comic that they're all up in that conspiracy, keeping God, keeping that whole thing under wraps. That he's not there anymore.
And it's a thing where, too, it's like... well, what's funny is that, like, they want to play a tongue-in-cheek all the time, and sometimes they want to play with logic and then against it. So, to me, what's the thing lately now is becoming, well, if the Grail is so fucking powerful and secretive, they sure do fucking blast their logo around and stamp it on everything, like fucking Acme Enterprises, basically,
Yeah, and that's one of the things I hate about it, because they're such a shadow organization.
Yeah, I know. In the book, it's like, oh... Even now, I was watching, I was like, yeah, you know what? The white suits and the red tie on everybody at all times might be a bit of a giveaway. Like, I get it, wearing it here or there, family functions and, award ceremonies. But when we're trying to, like, hide out in the building of the people we're watching.
Yeah, and it kind of takes away from Star, because that's, like, his signature outfit,
Well, the hat seals it all in.
Right.
Which is nice. But, yeah, it does kind of come off like that. And for some reason, it doesn't, like... become such an odd thing to see, maybe because it's comic books and you just immediately kind of give it credence more as opposed to a TV show where it's like, oh yeah, now seeing that on screen, it's a little bit maybe bat nipples weren't a good idea, that kind of a thing. That's a left turn, folks. Okay, so
a little bit.
So that's back to that goose chase. They're gonna go try and look at the production slate. Zoom in on that now for 20 minutes. We cut back to Tulip real quick. She's at the apartment building. She goes to the next apartment over and starts spackling their holes. Holes, people. That's the name of the episode. So with that, we go to commercial. We come back. It's hell again. Ass face gets dropped into a hole. Holes, people. That's the name of the episode. That hole that was in the floor.
Down in a hole.
That was in the boss lady's office. Into a room with an extrapolator. This is a new device. And we get to see probably the most uncomfortable thing of the episode on a couple of points. But it's Assface is Eugene. He's reliving a new version of his hell loop where Tracy isn't really repulsed by him. They even start singing together, I believe.
Yeah, they sang fucking Closing
Time. Oh, they 100% do.
So let me just put this out there real quick.
I thought of you immediately when I watched this because I know you fucking hate that.
Because I hate that song because I've been in too many bars when they were closing, and then they play that as if that's a fucking witty thing.
It's 2005. Everyone's leaving the bar. Why not play it?
Well, but they did it since the year it came out until like last week, I'm sure. But here's the thing that was funny for me was that like I hadn't watched it yet. I know that when me and you saw each other, Dom, it was like we're both going to go watch it, but I didn't get a chance to. So you messaged me on Twitter and were like, are they really singing Closing Time right now? And I was like, I pictured the three main characters singing it like at the end of the episode, like in a bar, like having a moment.
That I would have liked. Because
whoa, are you kidding me? It was 10 times cornier in my head than when it ended up being. Absolutely.
That would have been, I feel like, something from the book, though, that like...
That's true. They did do some drunk moments.
They always spend so much, drunk time in shitty bars in New York City.
That's true. That's true.
Doing stupid shit late at night.
Yeah, that's a little later with Psy.
Yeah, that's true. We did get a little bit of bar hangouts this season so far. Yeah. So anyway, the extrapolator is making this other version of his hell loop where basically she starts to like him, but it turns out that there's somebody else in her life, and that guy is in the bathroom. And then Jesse comes out. And Eugene's like, what is this? And she's like, basically like, nah, I'm into this dude, God and all that good stuff. And he's not God. And she's like, well, no, but he tastes great or something. I don't know. So they start macking. He starts making out with her.
He is to me. She says he is to me.
Right. That's true. That's true. So they start making out, which was like, you can kind of say how like,
is she 18, that girl?
That's what I mean. Like, it looked like Dominic Cooper was trying hard not to make out with this young lady too hard. Like, it was like he was basically giving her like these little kisses. And they had to cut in and out because they knew there was no... Like, their kissing wasn't getting as crazy as the moment was supposed to get, which is fine, which is totally understandable. They're professionals. But they do start making out, and then that just pushes him over the edge. And Jesse's also sitting there like, yeah, do it. And then so he does it. He blows his face off again, and we go to commercial. Sarah?
So, I'm cringing thinking about this scene again because it was so awful, but you glossed over a really important part.
Hit me with it, baby.
Which was Tracy reaching for Jesse's belt buckle and giving just enough of a rocking motion to indicate a little, handy action that the censors would allow. Like, you could tell they were like, not too much back and forth, but just enough. Get the motion. Oh my God. Horrifying. So awful to watch.
I really didn't even catch that aspect.
I did.
Go back and watch it.
Watch it for the rocking motion. It's as good as Pornhub, I swear.
Gentle little rocking. Which is why when Jesse's saying, I told you I'd come for you or whatever, come now. I mean, like, that's 100% what's happening. Oh,
there's a little
awful.
double entendre.
But I will say, oh my, single entendre, really. Ian Coletti, though, killed it when he realizes this is happening and Tracy likes him and they can be together and they sing together and he cries this tear of, like, utter joy. Oh, he just breaks your heart. It reminded me, he's so good. It reminded me of season 1 in the episode where Jesse told the town to forgive him and his classmates said, hey, come with us. We're going to show you something cool. And, you can tell he's not sure if they're going to, like, kill him or accept him. And when they do, his face is just joyful. And same thing here. I really like this actor, and not just the gun show, but the whole thing. So, yeah, between his overjoyed, oh my God, she likes me, and then that last little bit with Jesse and Tracy, and I never want to see that again. The end. Let's move on.
Fair enough. All right, so when we come back, we're in New Orleans again. Dennis is spitting out blood as he sits on the toilet. And I thought just for a moment about how far we've come for television, that we could have a moment like this. Just basically guys on a toilet and like doing his business or just, chilling in case he has to and spitting up big clumps of blood.
Oh, he was doing like the both end action, right?
It was kind of like one of those. It wasn't a lot going on, but it was
basically
set up for that.
Me every Sunday morning.
Oh, you drinking a little bit there, buddy?
A little bit.
And maybe you say the same thing, Papa, please. Because that's basically what he said, Papa, please. The first thing he said in English the whole time, I think, pretty much. So it's a short scene. We cut right back to hell. And our boy Eugene is out of the hole, but it's sleepy time. The red light is on.
This scene tripped me out a little bit. I was like...
It spooked you?
It was cool.
I
like the shot, the initial shot of
him getting thrown in, the red light being on, the overhead shot when they're looking down on it was good stuff. Yeah. And then Hitler's underneath he's on the bottom bunk because he's the bitch. He tells him that, look, it had to be done. Like, you had to see it for yourself, what they could be doing to you. You had to see what the biggest threat to you here is, kind of a thing. Then in the end, he's like, well, of course, Eugene, I want to help you escape, He's such a pal. I'm doing it for you. I'm not so bad guy. Everybody's like, oh, Hitler. Oh, you're such an asshole. But look, I'm being nice to you, right? It's going to be something like that. I have a feeling that Hitler's plan is to basically shove Eugene out of the way. Yeah. Like whenever this portal or whatever, he's looking for his way out.
Right.
Which would be great because that's, let's hope that don't happen. So I had a thing in my other notes, I think, or something that was like, should we talk about that for a moment? Like if this show, it was a message I sent to you, Sarah, I think. I was like, if this show lets Hitler get out of hell, we've officially deviated too far from the books.
It would have to be something where...
And like... That's an agreement from Bob.
Is that Bob's forehead hitting the bell?
Just the mere idea of it. But I don't know. It just seems like one of these things that, I think that's what they're going for. Like he's going to try and slip out instead of Eugene. Probably he's going to try and screw him over at the last minute something.
It would be so great if like he does make it out and like he's on Earth for like a second.
Gets hit by a bus.
And the second he's there and he's about to walk away, a bullet from the Saint just goes right through his head.
Right.
You know
like you popped up at the wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. Like he immediately gets taken out.
Yeah. But it has to be Saint of Killers, though, or else don't bring him to Earth. Because then go fuck yourself.
Because I want to see the guy really blow up, like when he gets hit. Well, whatever it is, it's got to be like brutal.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's got to be brutal.
It's Hitler.
Come on. So that was one of my ideas. So back to Dork Docs. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. We're back to New Orleans. Tulip goes over to apartment 19 to fix the hole. Hoover and Featherstone are like, what? Who's knocking at the door? And then, like, with the quickness, all of a sudden, Featherstone answers the door in a wig, doing this whole soft-spoken battered ex-girlfriend routine, in a whole, like, very...
Hoover was, like, hiding in the closet, right, that whole time?
She's dressed like, what's her name from Gilligan's Island? What's that?
No, I just said that she was trying to play it off that she was alone, right? And Hoover was like hiding in the closet. Right.
Absolutely. It would have been great if all of a sudden she's seen him and been like, "Oh my God, that's my boyfriend. Oh my God, he was in here the whole time,
now
stalking me."
Now, generally, I've liked the season so far, but I don't know if I've hated anything in the show as much as I hate the idea of Tulip buddying up with someone from the Grail, and it being like a wolf in sheep's clothing type thing on Featherstone's end.
Right. It's like how long are you going to play that?
Tulip's too sharp to be fooled like that.
And well, she spots the gun right away. Like, why you got that gun over there? So it goes to what you're saying. Like, whatever happens here, it's not going to last long. But I see what you're saying.
Well, what I'm trying to say is it better not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could totally see them playing it off where the two of them fucking become friends for a little bit, and then my
God. Well, I saw the whole trajectory where like it's like a sad thing where we can't be pals anymore. Like, oh my God, you're a bad guy, you fucking bitch. We had a thing.
Maybe not that far, but
right.
I think you know where I was trying to.
But I definitely see that what they're setting up is that like, oh look, I have an in now to kind of like get a little closer, be a little buddy, get the scoop. Yeah. So it's like, how long do you want to play that card? Because Tulip, you're right. Tulip shouldn't go for too long before Tulip gets hip to it. Sarah, thoughts? Sarah?
I wish I believed that the show would write Tulip that way, but my concern is that they're going to make her a dum-dum. I do think it's kind of funny that she's like, hey, we should go to the Hurt Locker. Tulip, dude, quit trying to make the Hurt Locker happen. It's not going to happen. I could maybe see that being an offer she made to show us how much she needs that rush and that pain and that fear, and so she doesn't really mean it, and she's never going to take her up on the offer, but she just to show us how much she's trying to pull somebody else into her misery. That is my most optimistic interpretation of that. Right. But god damn, if they have the two of them like girls' night, let's go out for Cosmos and then go shoot each other. Although I will say a reveal at the Hurt Locker with everybody has guns could be kind of interesting. That's the only good I can spin from them friends. But no, Dom, I'm with you. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's just like...
I would hate for them to get like genuine buddy. Like if we're going to do a little bit of the whole kind of like getting to know her like on a sneak and then it gets spoiled, like okay. But like what you're worried about is like some kind of like real, like they have a bonding moment.
And they're in this...
That continues to be a thing for Featherstone like down the line.
Right.
Gotcha.
This whole potential relationship, they're just... They basically reversed the characters' roles from the comic, where like Featherstone's kind of this like dumb, not dumb, but
she's supposed to be a little bit more mousy.
She's mousy. She's silly. She gets fooled easily with certain things with Star. You know what I mean? But Tulip's always quick. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's always been sharp.
Right.
Nothing gets past her.
Right.
But now in the show, it's basically reversed, where Featherstone's played up. not just in character, but in plot and in story as well. Like she's not as central to the story.
They gotta keep that crush that she has on Hairstar, man. Featherstone has this unrequited crush on him. That's super intense.
I can't see this
character
having it because she's too on
the
quick.
point. Like she knows that guy's nothing but trouble.
Like she seems like even more.
But maybe that's what makes
woke
her
than fucking Star himself.
But maybe that's the thing that makes. Yeah. If she is that like intense of a character, maybe that's what makes it make more sense in a sense that she would find Star appealing. Because he's super intense. Like, you know what would be cool? It was opposites attract in the book. But, like, here I could see it being a little bit more of, like, yeah, I think I'm badass, but this guy, you know. Now this guy's the shit.
Now that you're saying that, it would be great if they did do that and they added that.
But she's still not going to get it from him.
They add to her what they didn't do with Miss Outlash.
That's what I was just thinking. I wasn't going to say it because I thought you'd shoot that down. Yeah. That they actually kind of hook up and she becomes like the dominatrix type.
But he's into it. So like that, like it shouldn't work. Like whatever happens between them shouldn't work.
Because that's
what he's into, you know.
Right, and then what's interesting about the Featherstone thing is that he never requites the love or the interest from her because like he just dismisses her. He doesn't see her as that. Right. So I don't know.
But we don't know because like we were just saying, like it's not an opposites attract thing.
Ladies' opinion on the whole thing, Sarah.
Bob? I agree. No, you all make good points. I do. What? I'm just going to let Dom take this one. He's smart. No.
All right, we'll roll it on.
Good points. No, I agree with all that.
All right, cool. All right, finally, for once. We said something a lady wasn't mad at. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now they're probably mad at me for that.
I think me and Sarah are on the same wave with the show.
I think so. I think you guys are going to have a
really
soon.
Dom, we don't need these other guys. You and I can do this. We can just shut Sweeney's off.
That's it. At least I know that if we aren't in town, we can hand it over to you two.
That's true.
There you go.
Which would be interesting.
Hey, Bill, if it was just us, I'd get a preacher's permit, and then we could still be preacher versus preacher.
That's right, because I am ordained. It's true.
That's true.
It is true. It's very true.
Bill is an ordained minister.
I am an ordained clergyman. Clergyman.
Right.
Technical. The term is clergyman. And only registered here in the state of New York. So if you want to get married, you got to keep it. You got to come here. So with that, we did kind of jump around a little bit in the layout here. We go back to Dork Docs. Finally, for the last time, Jesse says a prayer for like the first time in ages. I borrowed a piece of my soul to find you. Please don't let this all be for nothing, which is what I was kind of saying. I'm like, this whole thing feels like a little bit of a runaround. He gets summoned to the counter again. They got nothing for him. It's a wild goose chase. And then he yelps about, I'm looking for God. You got him back there. He leaves, basically. So they go to put it in the shredder. But we see that the Grail Industries logo is on the data side, and I find that hard to believe that Jesse never saw it.
Yeah.
We went over that a little bit.
Now that we spoke about the commercial, it's kind of got me thinking that maybe they're just like the Apple, basically, of this world, where like they've kind of got like with the Google, where like they've kind of got like a stronghold over the a monopoly over the technology industry, kind of.
Well, fair enough.
But that clearly goes against the
See, I think the thing that they want you to think of them is like the multinational, multifaceted multinational corp. So it's supposed to kind of be like, what's the food company that is like the conspiracy nuts love? That like
Monsanto?
Monsanto, but like, you know, you take Monsanto and like a couple other companies that are like got their toes in everything and like combine them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel like. They're just supposed to have their toes in like everything.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And they do in the book.
In the book, right.
They keep Gus Fring working.
You know, and you know what's funny? Like in the book, they do talk about it, but you just don't ever see it in a way.
Well, because it's so under wraps, like
it's much more covert.
It's 100% covert.
It's 100%. Outside of the white suits and red ties, they're pretty covert.
Yeah.
So then was actually when we went back to Tulip with her new friend, her new bestie, going over things, you know, like ex-boyfriends, blueberry cereal, getting shot in the chest for fun. Then we go back to Dennis's, which is just Cassidy on the phone with his boy Seamus, who we saw him talking to back in episode 1
of the series.
A long time ago.
Who's not in the book, but it seems to be somebody he goes to for advice once in a while. We don't know if that person is a vampire themselves, but they definitely know Cassidy's is.
They're clued in for sure.
For sure.
Now, Sarah, what do you think? Who do you think Seamus is? Do you think it's anyone of importance?
A relationship?
I don't know, but I think Seamus has to be a vampire because of the interesting question he asked, which I'm sure everybody else noticed too. He wants to know about Dennis's personality and his prevailing temperament, which I think probably indicates, what kind of vampire he would make. So Seamus seems like somebody who knows enough to know that when you're made a vampire, apparently your prevailing temperament kind of, this is what I assumed, controls the type of vampire you become. So to me, it sounded like he was like a vampire sounding board or somebody who had experience with this. So it sounded to me like fellow vampire, somebody who maybe even is senior to Cass and would have advice to give there. But what an interesting little peek into vampirism in this universe with just a couple of well-placed questions. I really liked that exchange.
Because I was kind of thinking of it, not so much that he might be a vampire, but just that he was keyed into the idea that, like, you want to be careful. At the very least, it's like you want to be careful with who you give that much power to. Like,
I'm with Sarah on this. I was thinking it was a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I've been seeing on Reddit and even on Twitter that a lot of people.
That seems to be the main
speculation. that it's his brother, but I think it's his brother and he's a vampire. Right. But I don't know. That would be a huge change from the comic. Obviously, we all know how his brother plays out.
They would never do that.
No, well, I don't think.
Should have seen Sarah right there. It's like
that's
from the book.
A change from the thought. Never.
Right.
Interesting though, because they did mention Cass mentions his brother in the earlier scene with Tulip, talking about going to the beach with his brother. So if they were going to do that, they have sort of planted that seed that he had a brother who he, seemed to have been close to. So I could see that if you were a scriptwriter being like, snuck this in Act 2, and now I'm going to bring it up in Act 8.
I don't think he name drops his brother, though.
I don't think
about that.
I think he gives the name. He just says my brother, but we know that a brother existed, and so that opens up the door to that. Which would be again against the book, but interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I would be in favor of that. That kind of pisses me off. If anything, I could if it's gonna be a vampire, which even that's a stretch for me.
Yeah.
I think it should probably be some rando character that he knew on the way coming up, or maybe it was his mentor or the person that actually turned him into a vampire. You know what I mean? Like that he just stayed in contact with.
Well, even that's got its own origin in a way because what happens to him and how he gets bit on the roadside. I think,
it's a random freak incident.
Yeah,
literally a freak incident. Just some random vampire. He escapes from the war.
Right.
And he's walking. He's walking himself along.
Right.
Basically, in the valleys and somewhere in Ireland, and he just randomly
jumps out of the bushes. Or
jumps out of
jumps out of the bushes at him because he's isn't he? Yeah, he's in the war. He's in World War I. He's walking around.
Well,
he's trying to find.
War.
Yeah, it's the IRA.
The IRA war. It's like World War I time.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
it's
era.
Right. So
I think it's even before.
He's kind of lost in trying to find his platoon, and the vampire jumps out of the bushes at him.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he wakes up and he accidentally almost fucks a sheep.
Right.
I fucking forgot about that.
Forgot about all the animal fucking that goes on in this comic.
Well,
when are you going to bring that in, Seth Rogen?
That's funny because I would have thought that would be why you guys would remember the scene.
Oh,
that's why because that's
maybe you're just thinking,
No, I don't
It was only fucking one time, Bob, all right? It was one fucking time. Now I got this fucking reputation. Jesus.
They should have put that sign up at the petting zoo, Dom. If they hadn't put the sign up, we wouldn't all know.
Well,
I think that's we're coming to the end here. We could have went out on that one. All right, so.
Oh wait! Before we move on, though, he does refer to himself by his given name.
Sure.
He says, "Hey, it's me, Prontius." So we heard him say the name.
We heard him say it. Bell.
You took it away.
That's right.
Hey, it only took years.
I didn't want that to get lost in all the animal fucking. So.
Good point.
So, what, you got a handle on how to pronounce the name now? Is that it?
Finally,
right? Like, yeah. I saw somebody online was like, "Oh, it's derived from Francis." So, if that helps, I don't know. So Cass is on the phone, blah 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 blah. Ends up with his friend telling him, "Don't do it," though. So that's the takeaway from that. So Cass goes to Dennis's room, and Dennis is in the bed, and Cassidy starts singing his favorite song. Oh, that's the wrong clip. That's
he sang him the Blueberry song?
He sang him the Blueberry, Ed. He starts singing Charlotte the Harlot to him again. And I don't know, he gets very serious right there, and he's like kind of vibrating almost, like the tension's ratcheting up. So the question is, kids, it ends on black and goes to black. Did he do it? Do you think he did it? Sarah, you first. Do you think he did it?
Me, boy, that was unanimously take it to Sarah first. For maximum gut punch tragedy, I say he does it. Dennis reacts badly, and Cassidy has to kill him. That would be, I think, the most tragic outcome. So I could see the show do that.
Yeah.
That's my vote. What do you guys think?
I think I was theorizing something very similar. Me and Don were talking beforehand, and it was kind of coming up like that. Like, he's going to do it. It's going to go sour one way or the other. Like, it's one of these things where, like, okay, it doesn't heal you. Or, like, yeah, you're a vampire now. But, like, it's just you're an 80-year-old vampire. And, like, maybe, like, he, blows his head off or something like that. Or some other kind of thing that finally puts him out of his misery. But, yeah, I don't know. I kind of think he does it. Or you think because didn't we say something earlier where it could have been a misdirect? Or did I think I was starting to theorize in my head and I got distracted. Bob?
I think the show just fails again and doesn't do it.
So you want them to do it? Though.
No, well, I kind of think it's an obvious thing to do at this point.
Right. Yeah. You've built it up so much.
But
yeah, that's true.
I don't think they can't do it. So they're probably not going to do it, and it's going to piss everybody off. Yeah. Because this is what ends up happening a lot of times on the show.
It's true. Bob's defaulting to the show.
They've done this kind of shit before, so they're going to do it again.
And they like to piss me off, so they're going to piss me off with this.
Yeah, this is like the one time I really disagree with everybody. Like, I don't want them to do it. I feel like it would just be... I just wouldn't see it serving any purpose if he turns into a vampire and then seconds later he ends up dying for some other reason. Like, just make the guy die of natural causes, or have Cassidy kill him some other way. Like, or like what Bob said earlier in the episode, which I thought was...
To be clear, I don't want that.
What? Go ahead, Sarah.
Dom, just to be clear, just so you know that we're in agreement again, I don't want that. That sounds terrible that Cassidy turns him and then he has to kill him for whatever reason. But I think Cass choosing to let him go, being tempted and ultimately saying, this is a shit life and I don't want this for you, I'm sorry, would be a gut-wrenching decision, but it would be an interesting one. And I think it would be maybe a grown for Cass, especially since we see how tempted he is. So my preferred outcome would be he doesn't. But I think the show probably... I could see the show wanting to go for maximum gory, out of control vampire. What are we gonna do?
And my God, we haven't seen a vampire fight really since that first episode. Fight scene on the airplane with Cassidy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe we get Dennis the vampire. He's out of control. Cassidy can't stop him because he's his dad, and he just physically, emotionally won't. So Jesse saves the day and sends him to hell, and then we have Dennis.
Please, God, no. And that's when I stopped watching this fucking show.
And Hitler.
And Hitler dueling it out in hell for supremacy.
Who's going to get out the door? One of us has to leave.
Or should we call it the hell block?
Who's the least less interesting character?
I called them all hellmates instead of cellmates in my doc. I didn't get a chance to use it. Skip right over it.
But yeah, no. I think, man, it would be in the show's best interest to avoid doing it. Deal with him another way. I think we could all agree with that.
Yeah. I got a feeling they're going to do it, though. As much as it's like... Because I just can't see what else they'll do with him if he's just continually sick and dying. Like, he's just going to be continually sick and dying for the next 4 or 5 episodes. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, what else can they get out of the story now? Because if he just dies, hangs on for 3 episodes, and then just dies, it's like, what, are we going to watch just Cass and him meander through that. You know what I mean? So
that's right. We're getting 13, right?
We got 13, so we got some. We still got some legs.
So they are going to probably do it because
we got some room to go. We got some room to go still. So it feels like
that's why I was
thinking.
Like
I'm not saying it's the greatest idea in the planet. I'm just saying I think to agree with Sarah. A, it's not that great idea, but B, it seems like the kind of thing this show would probably lean much towards.
I 100%. I 100% agree with that.
I think we're all kind of on that. Yeah.
But like, I feel like similar to you, where you feel that there's enough time to do it. I feel like there's enough time where they could just write it off some other way and then get away from it, and then just
bring in some other aspect of something else to keep Cassidy a storyline.
Exactly, and they have time to explain another way to end his life.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Sarah?
I think this was just 5 minutes of us saying, no, I agree with you. No, I agree with you. No, I agree with you. So, hey, we agree with each other. That's great.
All right. We all get along. What a happy bunch. All right, so as we wrap it up, let's go out with some other theories, final thoughts, other questions next week and beyond.
I think season 3 is going to be good.
Season 3 is looking better and better. I don't know how much I want to get into it here, but I ended up I got caught in a rabbit hole, and I did end up going into the IMDb, and I did see some credits in the last episodes. Okay. Very interesting things. I don't know. I won't talk about it here if you guys don't want me to talk about that here, because it is spoilery a little bit. There's a lot of innuendo out of it.
Do you want to save it for the very end so people can hop off if they don't want to hear it?
Fair enough. Which we're basically at.
Okay, all right. Gonna hop off now, I guess.
Well, let's do that. How about that? We'll just wrap up with all our thank yous and whatnots, and then stick around through that. It's only a minute or two, and then I'll get into some theorizing, some last minute theorizing I kind of cooked up. So let's just do that. Let's thank Sarah. I know that we'll thank her again at the very tail end, but let's thank Sarah Netzley for hanging out with us at Sarah Netzley on Twitter. That's SARA, no H. Sarah Netzley, Netzley. She's like, recapper extraordinaire over at the old entertainmentweekly.com. Freelance writer and whatnot. Yep. Sassy.
She's a Renaissance woman.
Sassy, I like it. Yeah, that's right. I'm on summer break right now from recapping, but hopefully when TV starts back up, so will I. So good times.
Very, very nice. And follow her on Twitter. She's very funny on Twitter, and she's one of the highlights of my Twitter feed. I don't click like on people's stuff enough, I'll tell you that much. So if that sounds weird to her to hear me say that, because I think about that a lot when I'm like, if follow this guy on Twitter is really good, and I'm like, I don't click like on anybody's stuff. That person thinks I'm lying. But I do know for a fact, because I stalk her a little bit. I have like one column on my tweet deck that's all her. So how about that? I keep track.
That is the nicest thing anybody has ever said to me or about me. Thank you.
Fair enough. Wow. Context on that is not good.
A whole thing on TweetDeck.
a whole column on TweetDeck. Her and Dave Blass. That's it. The only two I follow on my TweetDeck. But speaking of other people worth following, follow Agent Palmer. He's always been a big help here for the show. You can check out agentpalmer.com. Also, if you're a Preacher fan on Twitter, follow at PreacherWiki.
Good friend of our show.
Good friend of our show. And at Preacher_on_AMC. It's an unofficial fan account, and they do a lot for the little community and the congregation, as we call it. They keep it alive. Follow the show at Preach vs. Preach. And you can follow Dom Torrey at Dom_Torrey. That's Torre. You can follow Bob at BobWTPC. You can follow me at Wicked Theory. The show's at wickedtheory.com. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music. I think I've exhausted all of it. Yes, I have.
And join us every Saturday for
the Wicked Theory Podcast.
Wicked Theory Podcast on Mixlr.
On Mixlr.
Every Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
That's correct. And our main show is also on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music.
Join Mixlr and follow us.
That's right. Click the follow button, and you'll get alerts whenever we go live. And this one we did live, just spur of the moment.
Surprise!
There were a couple people, but they're not here now. I did have a couple questions from the Twitter, actually, too. So if people were holding on because they thought I was going to forget, I did, but then I remembered. So how about that?
Wow, your honesty is astonishing.
It is. Now, if I could just find those in a timely fashion. So Yeah, how about that?
So now you said you had to do it, and
yes,
I saw 2 of them.
Yeah.
Steph wanted to know if we think Tulip learned her wall patching skills from her family or from her profession. I vote from her profession. The O'Hares were no good. They would never patch their own walls. She had to have learned that cleaning up after a job, don't you think?
Fair enough.
Well, I figure as much because I actually was thinking for an opposite reason, more or less, that the O'Hares,
they're breaking the walls.
If they're breaking the walls, they're having to patch them up. She knows, she knows how to do that from breaking a few walls. When
that's
she was
true.
A kid. I had to patch a few when I was a kid.
All right, and then we mentioned it before. Our friends at Preacher Wiki. This will get us going. When they do Angelville, how long do you think they should spend covering it? Shouldn't be more than half a season, in his opinion, his or her opinion. I kind of agree with that. Like, this will go into a little bit of a theory I have, but we could kind of mention that they kind of start working towards it with like 3 episodes to go. And then, like, in the next season, that's how they kind of set that up, where, like, yeah, we'll do that stuff. And then with, like, 3 episodes to go, we'll start setting up the next season. Wouldn't be a bad set of framework kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how you get a whole season out of it by kind of splitting it over 2 seasons in that way.
You keep everything fresh, and you keep everyone interested at the end of the season when you want to make sure that they come back.
All right, so into this little IMDb digging I ended up doing because I was on Reddit and I was reading someone's post and they were like, yeah, but what about this? And it was one of these blind links and I was like, oh shit, who is this lady? So there is a lady cast, I don't remember call her name, but there is a lady cast for the last 2 episodes who conceivably would be a little bit younger than like probably what you would think of Grandma, but she could totally be Grandma. Or I was thinking, because these people all were thinking it's Grandma, I was thinking, it could be Jesse's mom. So, because she's got a couple of different photos. I mean, obviously the photo on her IMDb makes her look a little younger than like some of these other photos, like from productions that are on IMDb. And I get that. That's the IMDb. You put your best foot forward. So perhaps it's Grandma, but also 2, the kid who played young Jesse in season 1 is recast, and he's in a couple of episodes coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe, right?
So maybe that's it.
So I think we're going to start heading towards that stuff.
But it could be Grandma could be in scenes with
the kid, and it's flashback, and that explains why she's old but not too old.
Right.
I was thinking that too.
And his mom could be in flashbacks with the kid also. So
as a much younger actress than this lady.
And since you guys have now mentioned it in a sideways fashion, we can also mention that we've heard that they have they're set up in Louisiana.
Yeah.
For this next season.
Yeah, they have the permits and all that. They already orchestrated all the permits for season 3, at least locked them up. I don't know if that's 100% guarantee that they have a season approved, but at the very least, it does show that's where they're going to stick around for production.
For at least a little while.
Yeah, for at least a little while, season 2. So,
and if that's the case, then it would make more sense to lay the groundwork for Grandma in the last couple episodes.
Yeah,
but it could still be Mom.
Right. So
because there's mom flashbacks too that involve Grandma.
Right, but she's an older woman, right? So Mom at that point would be like a young woman, right? If it's a flashback, anyways.
Yeah, Mom would be young while he was little, because that's what they definitely cast as a little kid.
Well, how old was Mom in the comic? Mom wasn't
when
young.
When he was little, she was like 20s, he was like 10. 20s? She was at most 30s. Yeah. This woman looks like she's pushing 50, 60.
Right, that's what I figured.
Yeah, and maybe on a bad day, looking like 70.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So, like, it kind of could go either way.
But that's not to say that Grandma wouldn't pop up in those flashbacks.
Absolutely,
either way.
absolutely. Right. And one of the things I was thinking though, because that's the thing I couldn't remember that I was thinking about. Some other theory was the soul thing. Would that help Dennis?
Good.
And I was thinking, well, if Jesse's driven, if everybody in the soul business has
said
been,
that earlier.
But I didn't want to get ahead of it, is what happened, because I had a theory instantly. But what if all the soul business has been driven out of Louisiana proper, especially now that Jesse kind of ran off the Japanese, and the only place for him to maybe get a soul to help Cassidy's son is the family. I'd rather hate it if he went looking for them, but that might be a way in that they're going to go. Who knows? It's all theorizing. But I would much rather them come find him, kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah, because Jesse does know now about what they use the souls for, because he was asking questions.
Right. Yeah, and he's definitely been, he's in the know on that whole process to some degree.
Yeah, no, they make it sound like the soul selling thing at Angelville has been a thing for.
Yeah, the way he spits it out, it's all matter of fact.
So he know
But I will say this: that one of the things I did think about at one point was that, like the soul extractor at the family's house is not the cool little doodad that they had in the truck. It's some old steampunk. You know what I mean? It's going to be some nightmare thing.
The Japanese are all high tech, and she made this thing back when she was young.
It's like it looks like a gin still, basically.
Way before her 200th birthday.
Right. So that's all I really had. I think this is it. Now this is the official wrap up. So, without anything else from anybody else,
you sure? Because right now I'm thinking Palmer's saying, "No, this is like the second time they've ended the show."
Right, that's pretty much true. All right, so with that, Sarah Netsley, once again, thank you for hanging out with us.
Sarah, always a pleasure.
Thank you for putting up with our nonsense.
You guys are always a good time. Thanks for the invitation back.
She's a great liar.
We love having you.
I have a feeling it won't be your last.
No. Well, we are kind of trying to do a thing. I don't know if I actually explained it to her this literally, but we are trying to do a thing where we alternate. 1 week we have Palmer, next week we'll have Sarah, if she's available.
Cool.
That turned out to be the plan, the de facto plan. Cool. Keeping it loose, baby. Keeping it loose. All right. So if you enjoyed the show, thanks for listening. If you didn't enjoy the show, thanks for listening. And that's all we have left, I think. Right?
Bye.
All right.
Pumped for next week?
You pumped for next week? Yeah? Psyched?
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm fucking.
You're fucking what?
Hyped to see where the show goes. You
okay,
know
cool.
Me too.
You started talking out of nowhere. We're out. Wow, that was loud.
I thought you had.
The Wicked Theory podcast is heard live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern until whenever. Just go to mixler.com/wicked-theory. Mixler is MIXLR. Sign up to join the chat. Then click the follow button to get reminders whenever the show goes live. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever good podcasts are given away for free, and at wickedtheory.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/wickedtheory. There you can get the after show if you miss it live. God forbid. Plus other exclusive episodes. As always, send your emails to podcast@wickedtheory.com.